Yo, your boy's back with the realest breakdown of hip-hop, Delusion. And today we talking about how Drake's push-ups gave his fans the most dangerous thing in warfare, false hope. While Drake stans were celebrating like they won the lottery.
Hey man, it's gonna be a good day. I can't wait to hear it. I can't wait to hear it. Let's go.
Real hip-hop heads knew this was just Kendrick letting Drake dig his own grave deeper. What I'm about to show y'all is how Drake fans got so excited over crumbs that they forgot they were dealing with the king of hip-hop. Push-ups wasn't Drake's comeback, it was his last meal before the execution. But his fans were so desperate for a win, they treated a participation trophy like it was the championship ring. This track gave Drake fans false hope, like a lottery ticket that looks like a winner until you check the numbers twice. They were celebrating in the streets while Kendrick was in the studio preparing the most devastating response in hip-hop history. By the time we done here, you gonna understand why push-ups was never going to save Drake, why Kendrick fans stayed calm while Drake fans lost their minds, and why getting excited made the eventual destruction even more painful for the Aubrey Angels. The false hope setup was perfect because Drake fans had been starving for their boy to show any signs of life. After Kendrick dropped that bomb on Like That, Drake stans were desperate for their king to respond with something, anything that showed he wasn't completely shook. When push-ups dropped, Drake fans overreacted like they just found water in the desert. They were so thirsty for a win that they convinced themselves this mid-tier response was actually fire. The desperation was embarrassing. But real hip-hop heads knew this was never going to save Drake.
You better go in on this track. That's all I know.
Pip squeak pipe down. You ain't in no big threes.
Pip squeak pipe down. That's a Drake type hashtag bar. That's some Drake type of shit.
You ain't in no big threes.
You ain't in no big three.
Kendrick is definitely part of the big three.
Travis got you wiped down. Savage got you wiped down.
Travis got you wiped down.
Savage got him wiped down.
I don't know in the whole world 21 Savage is better than Kendrick.
We could hear the weakness in his voice, the desperation in his delivery, the fear behind his false confidence. This wasn't the sound of a king. This was the sound of somebody trying to convince himself he still had a chance. The inevitable disappointment was written all over this track. You could tell Drake was trying too hard, forcing the energy, manufacturing the confidence. When you gotta work that hard to sound tough, you already lost. Setting up the disappointment was easy, because anybody with ears could tell this wasn't going to be enough to challenge
This tells
Kendrick.
me, yo, Kendrick is up next.
Kendrick is going to tear your ass apart. No Diddy.
This was like bringing a water gun to a nuclear war. If you're ready for this breakdown of hip-hop's most delusional fan base moment, show your boy some love with a like. We about to expose how Drake fans played themselves. The Drake fans' overconfidence was hilarious to watch. These cats were acting like push-ups was the greatest diss track in history. They were making victory posts like the beef was already over. The secondhand embarrassment was real. Compilation of Drake fans thinking they had a chance was like watching people celebrate winning the lottery before checking if their numbers were right.
Oh, it's just, yo, his lyrics is they're so advanced. Like, you gotta really sit here and think about this shit.
I love the beat drop out. I love all this shit. Holy, ladies and gentlemen, this is a shot that will be heard around the fucking world. It's time. Kendrick, you are on the clock. You're on the clock. It just started now. It's real. The boy came back. You're on the clock, nigga.
Pip squeak pipe down. You ain't in no big threes.
They were so desperate for a win that they convinced themselves mediocrity was mastery. The premature victory celebrations were painful to watch. Drake stans were talking about how Kendrick was finished, how Drake was back, how the king had returned. Meanwhile, real hip-hop heads were just laughing at the delusion. But Kendrick fans weren't worried because we knew what real bars sounded like. We knew the difference between desperation and domination. We knew Drake was just buying himself more time before the inevitable destruction. The confidence from Drake fans was misplaced because they were judging push-ups against Drake's usual weak standards instead of against what Kendrick was capable of. They were celebrating a C+ like it was an A+. Drake stans were acting like this track proved something when all it proved was that Drake was scared and trying to convince himself he could compete with Kendrick. The false bravado was obvious to anybody with functioning ears, but why push-ups was actually weak became clear when you compared it to what real diss tracks sound like. This wasn't Ether.
Fuck Jay-Z.
This wasn't Hit 'Em Up.
First off, fuck your bitch in the clique you claim. West side when we.
This wasn't even a good warm-up for what was coming. Breaking down why the track wasn't as good as Drake fans thought was easy. The bars were basic. The delivery was forced. The energy was manufactured. This sounded like somebody trying to be tough instead of somebody who is tough. Comparing it to Kendrick's usual standards made it look even weaker. Kendrick's throwaway verses had more substance than Drake's supposed comeback track. The quality difference was astronomical. Make sure y'all hit that subscribe button if you want more content that separates real hip-hop from fake energy. We keeping the standards high while others celebrate mediocrity. How it revealed Drake's limitations was beautiful to witness. This track showed that even when Drake was trying his hardest, even when he was motivated by fear, even when his back was against the wall, this was the best he could do. The track exposed that Drake didn't have the lyrical ability to match Kendrick's energy. He was throwing weak shots and hoping they would land. But real hip-hop heads could see the desperation behind every bar. But Kendrick fans staying calm was the most telling part of this whole situation. While Drake stans were losing their minds with excitement, we were just waiting for the real response because we knew what was coming. How real hip-hop fans knew this wasn't enough was because we understood the levels to this game. We knew that Kendrick operates on a different plane of existence when it comes to lyricism and artistry. The strategic patience of Kendrick's supporters showed our confidence in our king.
If I was K-Dot, I wouldn't even respond to this, bro. This isn't worthy of a response to me, bro. Like, the shit that K-Dot did and like that cleans this, bro.
Fucking good that's gonna be. It's gonna be absolutely devastating.
Kendrick is gonna tear your ass apart, no Diddy. Gonna tear your ass apart, no.
The strategic patience of Kendrick's supporters showed our confidence in our king. We didn't need to get excited over weak responses because we knew Kendrick was preparing something devastating. Why we knew the king was just getting started was because we understood Kendrick's process. He doesn't just respond, he studies his opponent, finds their weaknesses, and then delivers surgical strikes that end careers. We knew that push-ups was just giving Kendrick more ammunition. Every weak bar Drake delivered was just more evidence for Kendrick to use against him. Drake was literally helping Kendrick build his case. The reality check coming was obvious to anybody who understood hip-hop warfare. The signs that Kendrick was preparing something devastating were everywhere if you knew how to read them. Kendrick's silence after push-ups wasn't fear, it was preparation. Real killers don't respond immediately, they take their time to craft the perfect weapon. The quiet was more scary than any immediate response. How push-ups actually helped Kendrick's case was genius. Drake gave Kendrick more material to work with, more weaknesses to exploit, more contradictions to expose. Every bar was a gift to Kendrick. If you understanding how Drake played himself with this weak response, smash that like button. We about to break down why false hope made the destruction even more brutal. Building anticipation for the real response was easy because we knew Kendrick was in the studio cooking up something special. The longer he took, the more devastating we knew it would be. But why false hope made it worse was the most beautiful part of this whole situation. Drake fans got so excited, so confident, so convinced they had a chance that when Kendrick finally responded, the fall was even more painful. How getting excited made the eventual loss more painful was psychological warfare at its finest. Kendrick let Drake fans build up their hopes just so he could crush them more completely. The psychological advantage Kendrick gained was incredible. By letting Drake fans think they had a chance, he made his eventual victory even more devastating. The higher they climbed, the harder they fell. Why this proved Kendrick's superiority from the start was because a real king doesn't panic when somebody throws weak shots. Kendrick's calm response to push-ups showed he knew he was dealing with somebody who wasn't on his level. The fact that Drake's best effort still wasn't enough to worry Kendrick showed the gulf in class between them. This was like watching a high school player try to challenge LeBron James. Drake fans celebrating push-ups was like celebrating getting one hit in a boxing match while your opponent is preparing to knock you out. The false confidence was setting them up for devastation. Make sure you subscribe if you want more content that analyzes the psychology of hip-hop warfare. We breaking down the mental game behind the bars.
And the beat changed. Of course, this nigga started singing again.
The delusion of Drake fans thinking push-ups changed anything was incredible to witness. They were so desperate for a win that they convinced themselves mediocrity was mastery. But real hip-hop heads knew that Kendrick was just getting started. Push-ups wasn't even worth a real response. It was like swatting a fly while preparing for battle. The track proved that Drake was scared, desperate, and completely out of his league. Even his fans' excitement couldn't hide the fact that this was the sound of somebody who knew he was about to get destroyed. So when people ask why Drake fans got so excited over push-ups, the answer is simple. They were desperate. They were so hungry for any sign that their boy could compete that they celebrated crumbs like it was a feast. But Kendrick fans knew better. We knew that the king was just letting Drake have his moment before the execution. We knew that false hope would make the eventual destruction even more beautiful. Push-ups will be remembered as the track that gave Drake fans false hope right before Kendrick ended their boy's career. It was the last gasp of desperation before the inevitable silence. If this breakdown of hip-hop's most delusional moment had you remembering how wrong Drake fans were, drop a comment and let me know if you saw through the false hope. And don't forget to subscribe for more content that keeps it real. Your boy out. Keep supporting authentic greatness over manufactured confidence. Push-ups proved that desperation can't compete with domination. Peace.